Hello and welcome to this special show, Fast Forwarding Your IT Innovation with Everything as a Service in association with HPE and Shro Systems. Now, the IT world has changed a lot. In fact, our world has changed thanks to the IT world in the last 1.5 years. But trends in the IT world keep developing, keep coming and going. But there's a very interesting trend. I don't even know if it's a trend or whether how long-lasting this will be, but I have a panel of experts who will be talking about consumption-based IT. Now, what is that? That's what I have this panel here with me today. This is going to be a very engaging and exciting tech show, and I have a panel of eminent IT experts here. Allow me to first up introduce them. We have Mr. Rajendra Bhisht. He's the CIO Tech and Digital at Bajaj Auto Finance. We have Mr. Y. Vikram Kumar, Country Manager, Green Lake Cloud Services, HPE. On the other side, we have Mr. Subhash Pipala, Director, IT, Amdocs Development Center, India, and Anirudh Shrotriya, Managing Director, Shro Systems Private Limited. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me here today. Anirudh, let's start off with you. As I said in my intro, consumption-based IT, what is it?
So, Sumit, Shro Systems has been in this business for 33 years, and we've seen the evolution of IT in India. In fact, way back we used to have big data centers with servers and storages where there is to be a certain amount of way of IT was consumed inside a company. But you've seen in this post-pandemic environment, things have changed so dramatically, and everything has become disrupted. You're seeing workforces working remotely and applications being demanded on the go. And for that, you need a different kind of IT service delivery. In fact, it should be just in time, it should be flexible, it should be scalable, and it should also have a lot of security built in. So there is this service, we call it as IT as a service, or we call it consumption of IT as a service, which is something like you can demand a certain amount of server, storage, compute capacity for your applications, and it will be delivered to you as a service. You don't have to go and buy all this equipment and store it, and next time wonder how do you scale from that particular state. So when you look at our vision, we want technology and innovation to drive better business outcomes for our customers. So if you are in the business of garments, for example, or you're doing auto manufacturing, for example, you focus on that business and leave the IT worries to us. We want to be a partner to the customers. We want to have a skin in the game, and we want to be sure that we're delivering IT when they need it, wherever they need it, and as a service. So, in fact, it's a win-win situation for all of us.
So it's kind of like maybe outsourcing the IT to someone else and the business focusing on what they do best, which is their products or services.
Simply put.
Okay. Vikram, I'll come to you now. So what kind of benefits do you see businesses getting from adopting IT as a service?
We can take the example of automobiles, car. So you can buy a car, you can buy cash payment, down payment, or lease it, right, and drive it yourself, or you can consume it from a Uber or a Ola. So that is your public cloud. What we are saying is we will give you the car of your choice, with the driver. We'll run it for you and you pay us per kilometer. That's the fundamental thing, difference in everything as a service. Well, so what we are seeing is, I think, as Arvind rightly said, businesses need the flexibility, they need agility, the speed, and IT is expected to drive digital transformation and innovation within the organization, and that is posing tremendous challenge in the way the workloads have become completely unpredictable. You know, it could be X, it could become 3X, it could become 5X, and that's where the challenge is. And we don't want businesses to invest in IT for peak loads. We really want them to consume what they need, whatever extra flexibility, capacity, scalability that they need, we will provide to them without them paying for it upfront. They will pay us only when they use it, and we just bill it to them on a month-on-month basis.
Subhash, I want to bring you in this conversation. So, from your experience, what are some of the benefits your company has seen moving from traditional IT that's been going on for so long to a consumption-based IT model?
Today, at least in the last couple of years, the way the compute is growing, the data explosion is happening, and it's becoming very difficult, very challenging for any organization for that matter in terms of keeping pace with meeting these capacity demands. And this makes it very, very important that we have partners who are basically working with us very closely in terms of predicting our capacity demands. And especially if I talk about in my company's context, if I look at it, the way the business was growing, and they expected agility from IT, and that agility was missing. And rather than focusing on the core business, we were rather taking several weeks in terms of getting into this procurement cycle and dealing with all the nitty-gritties of it. But with this consumption-based model, this entire headache of managing this whole cycle of procurement and delivery and installation, it has been like outsourced to the partner.
Right.
And we can focus on the core business. So it has basically simplified in terms of our processes. It has brought in the agility. And the most importantly, what customers were gaining when they were going over to the public cloud. So the same economics have been brought onto on-prem data centers. I think from my perspective, these were the key major values that we have created for our company.
Okay, superb. So good to get one user's perspective. I'll go over to the other side to Rajendra. Same question, Rajendra. How has it been helpful in your business?
When you see the traffic, the same amount of road is there, but the traffic in the morning and evening hours is totally different than the normal hours. The same happens to us also. A lot of business comes during the month end and also during the festive period. So the consumption model or IT as a service model is brought in a lot of values to us. I personally, experienced this during the pandemic when the load has increased tremendously, and in the traditional model we were not able to. It was kind of, again, we were hitting the roadblock at the traffic and we could not expand our business. So when our partner like HP and Sto has helped us, and we went for the consumption model, and really we are able to peak to, if I tell you the numbers, from 15,000 users to now we are able to support to almost 70,000 users. So that kind of benefit we have seen of the consumption model, and also the partners have done a lot of innovations here, and it is really helping customer like us, Sumit.
What other sectors would this kind of consumption-based IT as a service be helpful for?
BFSI has been absolutely critical, and they've been adopting this model for their benefits. But we've seen a great adoption in the manufacturing segment as well. And if you look at it, the manufacturing segment has got so much of IT requirements, but they're again ridden with a lot of IT challenges, and their departments have to really deal with them. And the manufacturing processes, if you see, with all the adoption of robotics and the new age technologies, they need technology to be very closer to their businesses. And the consumption model is exactly doing that. They're actually delivering that service for their outcomes and aligning to their outcomes. And we see that adoption happening in fact, customers outside of manufacturing as well. You take garment manufacturing, they're going to benefit from it. You're going to see probably education, and you see the technology adoption in education that's going to happen. They're going to have to adopt a lot of new different technologies, and that they cannot keep buying. How much can you buy? How much can you keep investing?
But then comes in the most important part of security. How do you address that?
So in this IT as a service model, security is absolutely there. Security as a service, it's inbuilt, and technology that is provided. In fact, in a certain way, the technology is closer to the customer. It's not in some public cloud somewhere. It is closer to the customer, secured with technologies relevant to them, completely thought through. It's a consumption model where I am going to deliver that IT as a service to you, and you are going to consume it. And there is a lot of commitments and contractual agreements which bind us to that particular contract. And everybody is aware how the contractual agreements are drawn out. And then IT as a service is delivered with all stakeholders bought in.
So, Vikram, taking this a step ahead, in your experience of interacting with so many companies, how have you seen this consumption-based IT as a service? How have you seen that changing the way the businesses work, the way it's impacted them?
Sumit, what I have seen is we have worked with virtually every kind of customer, and we have good customers in virtually every segment. Talk about automotive, talk about fintech, talk about startup, talk about traditional manufacturing, public sector units. Customers' budgeting process has to change, right? Because they're used to thinking, okay, I need to buy so much, so finance has to approve a budget, that goes to procurement, then the whole cycle starts, right? Now you're saying you'll consume 1 month, you can consume 10 units, 1 month you can consume 11. So there is a variability also comes in. So that also becomes a concern. So while customers want variability, flexibility and consumption, they also want predictability and transparency. So they want to be sure what you're billing is correct, and indeed that is what they've consumed. So that is the first underlying principle, transparency. And also bringing the predictability that I will not get a bill shock at the end of the month that I see as and I spent so much.
Absolutely.
So I think those are the important things. And what we are seeing is we are having customers in the media animation space who are, doing rendering for, movies or, some big OTT platform. And their business comes, as a project, So 6 months, they're like completely loaded, and maybe 3 months they're not loaded. So, those kind of variabilities are getting taken care for them. We are working in South with a small spices company.
And Rajendra, I'll just take this question ahead to you on the budgeting part, because that's a big concern, and I'm sure you must have had that conversations within your company also when you went to this, because there's always that, capex versus opex, which one do we go? So how is that looked at?
Whenever we go for the budgets and it starts from the project, whenever the project comes to us, and business always wanted yesterday. So, and delivery of the hardware or the stuff, it's very, very difficult. And let's say my festive months are going on, I know this much I'm going to consume 3x time more or 4x time more, and I know the budget of entire year. And also not, with this model, IT is not, remaining a cost side actually. Now I can debit each and every department, as you said. We can modular it. We can debit each and every department. There are payloads which can be identified. Okay, this is for the finance, this is for the sales, this is for the operation, this is for the HR. So that way, making budget is also easy, and also identifying which department is consuming how much. So I think those kind of benefits also we're getting from the and capex is always a tricky situation. So it is always completely opex model, Sumit.
चलो अब नहाने. Alexa, switch on the geyser. Okay. Wait till I tell Papa. Meow. चल क्या रहा है यहाँ पे?
Alexa, play All Is Well.
Alexa makes smart home easier. Just ask. Alexa smart home combos starting rupees 2,299. Amazon Great Indian Festival.
Presented by Herbal Life Nutrition. Powered by Darwin Platform Group of Companies. Never stop moving forward. Driven by Maruti Suzuki.
चोरी हो गया.
मैं अपना ड्रेस भूल गई.
मैं अपना छाता. इन्होंने टेंशन नहीं लिया. इन्होंने इंश्योरेंस लिया. फोन पे.
New Citroën C5 Aircross SUV, Comfort Class SUV.
Citroën.
उत्तर प्रदेश के मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ के लिए अन्नदाता किसानों का हित सबसे ऊपर है. इसीलिए योगी सरकार राज्य में अलग अलग कृषि कल्याण नीतियों से किसानों को राहत पहुंचा रही है. चाहे वो फसल की समय से खरीद करके भुगतान हो, फसल बीमा के तहत क्षतिपूर्ति हो, या फिर ऋण माफी.
मैंने ऋण लिया था. माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने जो ऋण माफी योजना चलाई, जिससे कि मेरा ऋण माफ हुआ और मेरी वित्तीय समस्याएं दूर हो गई.
योगी सरकार ने किसान कल्याण के लिए उठाए गए कदमों के तहत 36,000 करोड़ रुपयों से 86 लाख लघु और सीमांत किसानों का ऋण माफ किया, तो साथ ही लगभग 4,25,000 करोड़ रुपयों का फसली ऋण वितरित किया. प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि योजना के तहत 2,53,98,000 किसानों के खाते में कुल 37,521 करोड़ रुपए हस्तांतरित. गन्ना किसानों को 1,44,000 करोड़ रुपयों से ज्यादा का भुगतान हुआ, तो वहीं MSP में लगभग दोगुना वृद्धि करके किसानों से 435 लाख मीट्रिक टन खाद्यान्न खरीद कर 79,000 करोड़ रुपयों से अधिक का भुगतान किया गया.
जो मुख्यमंत्री बने हैं तब से हम किसानों को बहुत सुविधा मिलती है. खाद जो है हमेशा पर्याप्त रहती है, बिजली मिलती है, और उसके साथ साथ फसल का और धान और गेहूं क्रय केंद्र बेचने के लिए सारी सुविधाएं मिल जाती हैं.
हाल हो किसान, संपन्न हो उत्तर प्रदेश. किसानों की आय दुगनी करने के लिए योगी सरकार प्रतिबद्ध.
Stock markets is a numbers game, and it sometimes does come across as one-dimensional. But what people don't see is that these numbers, when strung together, tell a story. There's no really black or white. It very much seems to be a work in progress of triumphs and mistakes, greed and fear. And I bring you that story behind the numbers in action.
Subhash, if you could share some examples of maybe how IT as a service has been helpful in your business, in your managing of your finances also.
It has helped us in terms of moving away from CapEx-based model to OpEx-based model. And this basically gives us the agility in case of any unplanned demands coming from the business. We don't need to really look at what is planned, what is not planned. We can easily accommodate that. And secondly, it gives us that predictability. And the most important thing, what this consumption-based model has brought into, for that matter, any organization, the type of tools which are also being provided here. These tools are coming embedded with a lot of analytics, which brings a lot of efficiency in the operations, which basically is extended to even to the business also. The whole productivity gains and the efficiencies there. And I would say that these analytics have helped us not only to analyze what's going to happen in the next few months, but we can also do show back to the business also. So with these very insightful reports, and this is something which was traditionally, or rather, it was not existed in the past. Now, this model is bringing all these additional aspects into the game, which is making us as service providers also to share and bring the transparency even to the business also. And because of this visibility of the finances and all those things, and I think it has helped us to even manage our finances better.
How are you seeing the role of IT as a service driving innovation, helping reduce cost, and also mitigating the risk of any business that they might be having?
When you look at innovation in itself, there is so much of innovation happening at our end from a technology side. There's innovation happening at the customer side. And we are bringing that technology innovation together to be able to give the right product sets and to give the right experience out to customers. So, and if you look at cost, just look at cash flow, for example. Buying huge amount of infrastructure in a data center is going to cost loads and loads of money, and that's the thing of the past. You just can't do that. Now you're matching your business cash flow requirements along for your IT budgets, and if that is then spread over a number of 5 years, 6 years, you're making it easy for people to adopt innovation. And technologies, Sumit, coming very fast at us. You saw that in the pandemic. We are getting technology innovation so fast. How can you have customers consume all of it if you don't deliver it as a service? You have to be relevant, and you can only be relevant with innovation. And that's where the risk mitigation comes through. You mitigate your risk by investing upfront in a consumption-led IT model and be cash flow positive and stay ahead in the business.
Vikram, I want to talk a little bit about HPE GreenLake. So can you tell me how that's been able to help customers? How is it being able to help them become better and use things better?
Yes, so HPE is transforming to become an edge to cloud as a service company, and GreenLake, HPE GreenLake is our flagship brand under which we are offering everything as a service to our customers. And when we talk about everything as a service, it is just not the HPE products, solutions and services, but we are also bringing complementary technologies to the customers. It could be software, it could be some third-party products which need to complete the solution. And we have just moved away from basic infrastructure as a service, which is either storage or compute, and we are now trying to focus on workloads and on outcomes. So let me give you an example. We could provide backup as a service to our customer, where we give the backup device, we give the backup software of choice to the customer, and we just provide the services, and customer just pays us on a everyday amount of backup that he's doing. Is almost like your whatever you're doing with your backup on your phone, right? So something like that. Or we could give a private cloud setup for a customer where the entire infrastructure is installed, implemented in the customer premises, as you said, fully secure, complying with the customer's security policies and controls that they have in place. Depending on industry to industry, the customers may have regulations around data privacy, data residency, a lot of aspects are there. And, so the entire thing is there. And, we can within 5 clicks and 2 minutes we are able to provision the virtual cloud instances for the customer.
Now with consumption IT, you have lesser of a worry about that the systems will be in place, and maybe focusing more on data to help better plan, better conduct business. Is that something that's happening?
There's a trillions of data which is there, and if you are on-prem, you have your own traditional server holding that kind of data. It's nightmare for any CIO or CTO. So those platform as a service or everything as a service is really coming to help to the end user also. Business wants innovation. Innovation goes in hand with the technology. And they always, people will come up with the ideas, they will ask for the data, there will be a lot of innovation happening, but it will come to the IT. IT is not able to deliver because I have a limited set of technology which I can offer to my business. But if I have the XaaS, so things are sorted out, right? I don't have to maintain that, I don't have to provision it because it is already provisioned, as I said, 5 click and 2 click, and it is given to the users. So I think it is really helping a lot to the end users.
Okay. This is me just playing devil's advocate, okay? So we're outsourcing IT as a service. We're using consumption IT, so we are outsourcing our IT requirements. Will we be outsourcing the CIO's role, the CIO, CTO's role? What's your take on that? I'm asking you to crystal ball gaze, maybe.
Typically, we are trying to give away all those L1 type of tasks, L2 type of tasks, which traditionally our IT was doing it. The in-house IT was taking care of it, and we were spending too much of time. There was a lot of cost that was involved there, and we were maintaining too much of workforce to deal with it. Now that's not our forte. Now we have given away this specific area to our partners to deal with it. But at the same time, whether it is a security aspect, the governance, the operational efficiency aspect, the financial aspect, I think this is something which is still with us, and we can govern all these aspects very closely. And with the showback ability that we have created for the business, which is also bringing a lot of transparency in the system. Yeah. So I don't believe anytime in the future that key roles, for that matter, let's say from mid-management and above, and for that matter even solution architect role or some other niche profiles, they will ever go to any partner, because those are things which are very integral to our business also.
Anirudh, same question to you.
Yeah, so I would call it yes. The CIO is going to become chief anything as a service officer, and we are in fact telling the CIOs, and that is the conversation we are having, that now the core function, like he said, is to focus on the business, and we are going to be focusing on the IT side, and that partnership I think is wonderful, and it's time we celebrate the CIOs, because they've done. If you see in the pandemic, there has been an absolute critical task the CIOs played, and they were the ones which transitioned the companies from very, very on-premise to next minute online. And because of that, I don't think anytime soon that role is going away. It's just going to transform into another name.
Starting with Rajendra, just coming to you for closing comments, maybe if you want to just your take on where you see this going ahead.
I think as the innovation which the partners have done and the benefit what we have seen, Sumit, I think this XaaS service will be growing by CAGR of 32.66% over the next 4 years. That amounts to, I think, around $316 billion. So I think this is the in thing. It's the right bandwagon. I think we should all ride into it.
When you try to do something different, there could be a chance of not getting it right the first time. So I think as HP GreenLake, we are just not targeting the traditional business workloads. We are also giving an opportunity for CIOs and companies to try something new. Okay, don't invest in it because you don't know whether you'll succeed, you'll not succeed, whether it's going to be embraced by business, whether users will use it or not. So I think wherever you want to do innovation and you feel that you don't want to invest much on it, but you want very, very stable, good architecture that if it becomes successful, you can just scale it up and grow. I think that's where we are seeing really, really big opportunity.
I think I see everything as a service is the future. And I truly believe that this is bringing us as IT function in our organization more closer to the business. So the partnership is growing day by day, and we are able to play a very pivotal role in terms of any business innovations and creating a value which was missing in the past.
Right.
And I do think that this is something which will take us in a better place in terms of not only bringing the value but financial aspects, transparency, and not dealing with things which definitely is not our forte.
Yes, Sumit, so we are very heavily invested in consumption as an IT, and I think right from skilling our staff, having the right certified people, keeping an eye on technology and the future, having the right set of customers with us, which are across verticals. I think we are betting the next 5 years of ours, and when we sit down on our plans of 5 years, consumption as a service and IT as a service and services as a whole is a mainstay of our business, and we feel that we can delight our customers only with the right kind of services. And what better than consumption IT, which will actually put us in the driver's seat along with the customer. So we are in the cockpit with them. We are also steering their ship and going ahead. I think that experience itself is going to be fantastic. So we are excited about this opportunity, and we want to be looking forward for it.
Thank you so much, Anirudh, for that. Thank you, Subhash. Thank you, Vikram, and thank you, Rajendra. Thank you so much for watching. You were watching Fast Forwarding, your IT innovation with everything as a service in association with HPE and Shro Systems. Thank you so much for watching.
Something